So first we will talk about forecasting. That's one of the drivers that goes into the MRP. You do also have some seasonality here in some of the products. We will talk about that and how it can affect what's in the system and what needs to be in the system. So first, let's just go into manual forecasting. First step, we can forecast a single item at a time, so a finished good at a time. Then there's batch forecasting, and then there's more advanced options after that. I'm going to look in Warehouse FG. I've got my stock code M1. This little graph here is what it looks like. I got a bump up here in summer, and then it cools down during the winter. It looks like maybe there's some correlation there, some seasonality. By going into my graph options, the inventory forecasting system is going to look at 3 years worth of data. So any data that you have now can be brought into the system when you go live, so the data can be effectively taken on and used. And that is one way that the data gets in so that you're looking at it. By looking at previous years, I could see that I have a strong correlation here, and I would say that it is seasonal. Now from there, I have probably 10 different ways to see or to forecast what's going to happen in the future. Some work better than others for different data sets. If I click on mean, I can see that it is a straight average across everything. If I click off there and down here, my yellow bar just shows going straight across the graph here, which doesn't really work well for me. What might work better is a whole winter's additive, which is pretty much correlating right on top of it. I'm not going to pretend to know what all these different methods are and the calculations that go into them. But for people like me, we can run a competition, and the competition will look at all of them and show you the method that best fits your previous year's data. Once we're looking at this data, we've got the graphing option in here. We're not limited on what's been sold in the past. There's things that happen that may cause a dip or a spike in sales to cause outliers on your data. There may be future things that are coming up that the system doesn't know about. Maybe you're getting ready to take on a new customer and one of your standard selling items. You expect that to go up by 20% or 30%, and you want to adjust your numbers so that your forecasts are accurate. I'm going to go into my forecasting here. And this is where I see what my suggested numbers are for right now. I've got my sales numbers for the last 3 years in these columns. I don't have a forecast that's actually applied right now, so everything is 0. But I do have a suggestive forecast based on when I told the system to do the competition and look at what I've sold in the past. I'm going to click on one of these, and I'm going to edit my sales history. In my sales history, I'm not actually changing my sales numbers as far as accounting and sales are concerned. I'm making adjustments to the simulation in my forecasting to create a better outcome. Let's say, for instance, on this December, I'm going to maintain adjustments, or I can adjust for outliers. I could do a mass adjustment if there are outliers all over the place to smooth everything out if I wanted to, but I'm just going to maintain it manually. And I'm going to change the 66 number, let's say, to 80, because I want it to spike for whatever reason and change my numbers. I'll close that, and I could scroll through and change a bunch of them at once. But now I look, and I have a spike in my numbers here. That's just an easy way, without going too far into it, that you can go through and adjust your sales numbers based on what you know that the system doesn't, so that it can create a better forecast for you. This is looking at your sales numbers and ultimately what has been shipped. The raw data gets down to what has been sent out. That brings up another interesting point. Say a customer ordered a bunch of stuff in March, but the resin was back-ordered and we couldn't make it until April or May. Now the sale happened in March, but we didn't ship it until May. So the numbers are going to show in May because that's when we shipped it. But the customer really wanted it in March. So we could make an adjustment to pull those numbers forward into that. You can do this analysis with any item code that is sold or shipped. This can be tied into machine capacity by using forecast information, allowing everything to be connected and aligned for more accurate planning. I say these numbers are based on the sales and what happens at shipping and receiving, but you're going to see these numbers as well, because when it gets shipped, it's looking at the entire BOM. So it's going to look at all your raw materials that got shipped as well. Another thing we can do with this is, let's say we don't have forecasting data for an item that we're going to make, but there's a new item for a customer, and let's say the model is changing. If I come in here, I'm going to edit stock code options. So for this stock code, I've got what we call a sales history proxy. And if I click on that, I can take on the sales numbers from a different product because I know the sales are going to be similar. That's a way you can build mock sales history without having it to help you along with your forecasting. With your forecasting, we spoke about seasonality, but there's so much more to forecasting than what I'm going to show you today, and one of those things is the stock levels model. What that means is as you see seasonality in your forecast, the system can be set up to automatically adjust your min-max quantities in your different warehouses. In my example here, maybe January and February, things are ramping down. So my mints and maxes would ramp down as well. But because of the variability in the price of resin, I want to keep a certain amount for just in case on hand. And as we ramp up in the summer, those numbers need to ramp up as well because I'm selling more. As I'm ramping up production, my mins and maxes are going to ramp up as well, so that I'm in a good spot with the levels of inventory that I have versus what I need to run my jobs through. Hopefully this example correlates. As I said, this is one of the many factors of materials resource planning. Thank you very much.